Hello everyone and welcome back to a new phrasal verb lesson. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jenny and I am a British English teacher. And in today's lesson, we are going to look at 18 phrasal verbs that you can use to talk about education and learning. And some of these phrasal verbs are really quite advanced, so you can be sure that you will impress your examiner or whoever you are talking English with. So if you're ready, let's get straight into the lesson. Number one is to brush up on something. And if you brush up on something, you improve your knowledge of something that you have already learned, but maybe you have forgotten some or even all of what you learned in the past. For example, I know we studied the present perfect in September, but I really need to go back and brush up on my knowledge of it. Two is to figure out, and this means to think about something, to understand it, or to solve something. For example, can you come here and help me figure out this maths problem? Three is similar to figure out, but this is puzzle out, and this is to understand something complicated by thinking about it a lot. For example, they decided to meet up at the library in order to puzzle out the complicated homework the teacher had given them. The next phrasal verb is to read up or read up on or about something. And this is to spend some time reading something in more detail to learn more about it. For example, he spent all weekend reading up on the historical event they had studied the week before because he found it so fascinating. 5 is to get or to fall behind, and this is to not keep up with somebody else or to not get enough done. For example, after he missed 3 weeks of English class, he realized that he was falling behind the rest of the group. And 6 is what you have to do if you fall behind, and is to catch up. And this means to come up to the same level as the others. After falling behind, he studied really hard so that he could catch up with the rest of the class. 7 is to swot up or to swot up on something. And this means to study or to learn as much as you can in a shorter period of time, usually before something like a test or exam. For example, the students spent all weekend swatting up before the exam on Monday. Number 8 is to go on to, and this means to do one thing after the other. For example, after finishing secondary school, she went on to university. 9 is to take down, and this means to write something down or to make notes. For example, the students were eagerly taking notes while their professor gave the lecture. The next phrasal verb is to come up with, and this means to think of something, especially an idea, an answer, or a solution. For example, the teacher was impressed with how quickly the students were coming up with the answers. 11 is to go over, and this is to study something carefully, especially by repeating it. For example, you can use my grammar playlist to go over any important or difficult grammar points that you want to study in more detail. And I will leave a link in the description box below to my grammar playlist. 12 is to hand out, and this is to give something to each member of a group. For example, at the beginning of the class, the teacher handed out the exam papers to each student. Hand in or turn in means to give a piece of work to a teacher, to a tutor, or a professor. For example, you have until Friday to hand in your homework. 14 is to mull over, and this means to think about something carefully for a period of time. For example, she spent several weeks mulling over what the topic of her final project should be. The next phrasal verb is to take in, and this means to fully or completely understand something. Obviously, usually something difficult. Many students have to go over the topic of conditionals several times before they can fully take it in. 16 is to look something up, and this means to look for the meaning of something or look for more information on something, usually in a reference book or a dictionary, or these days even on a computer. For example, as he didn't know the meaning of the word, he decided to look it up in the dictionary. 17 is to drop out, and this means to not finish a course or to not finish an academic stage. For example, at one point her parents were worried that she would drop out of university, but she managed to catch up and she passed with flying colours. And our last phrasal verb today is to stay behind, and this means to not leave when others leave. For example, due to their poor behaviour, the teacher asked the class to stay behind after the lesson. So those are all of the phrasal verbs that I have for you today. If you like this type of lesson and you find it useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to hit the notification bell, because that way you will be notified every time I upload this type of lesson. So thanks again for watching, and come back soon for a new lesson with me. Bye for now.